It was a Monday morning, and I had been dreading this visit to the bank all weekend. I needed to sort out an issue with my account, something about a missing deposit. I arrived early, hoping to get it over with quickly. But as soon as I walked in, I could feel the tension in the air. The bank was quiet, with only a handful of customers scattered around the waiting area. The manager, a middle-aged man with a stern face and a crisp suit, stood behind the counter. Flipping through some papers, I approached him, my heart pounding slightly. I wasn't sure why I felt so nervous. Maybe it was the way he barely glanced at me when I said good morning. "Hi, I need help with my account," I said, forcing a polite smile. "There's a deposit that hasn't been credited and He cut me off with a wave of his hand. "Take a seat," he said, not even looking up. "I'll be with you shortly." I hesitated, but there was no point arguing. So, I sat down in one of the stiff, uncomfortable chairs near the window. I pulled out my phone to pass the time, but my eyes kept drifting back to the manager. He was helping other customers now, people who had walked in after me. One by one, they were called up. Their issues resolved quickly. At first, I told myself it was just a coincidence. Maybe their problems were simpler. Maybe he was getting to me next. But as the minutes turned into an hour, my patience began to wear thin. I tried to catch his eye a few times, but he seemed to deliberately avoid looking in my direction. My stomach churned with a mix of frustration and something deeper, something I didn't want to admit. Was it because of the color of my skin? I shook my head, trying to push the thought away. I didn't want to believe it. But the longer I sat there, the harder it became to ignore. My hands clenched into fists in my lap, and I felt a lump forming in my throat. I just wanted to be treated like everyone else. Was that too much to ask? By the time the second hour rolled around, I was fuming. I stood up, my legs stiff from sitting for so long, and marched over to the manager's desk. "Excuse me," I said, my voice trembling slightly despite my best efforts to keep it steady. "I've been waiting for 2 hours. Can you please help me now?" He looked up at me, his expression cold and unfeeling. "I'll get to you when I can," he said dismissively, as if my time meant nothing. I opened my mouth to respond, but before I could say anything, the front door of the bank swung open. A group of well-dressed individuals walked in, their presence commanding immediate attention. I recognized one of them, a woman I had seen in the local newspaper. She was a member of the bank's board of directors. The manager's face changed instantly. His stern expression melted into one of panic. He stood up abruptly, almost knocking over his chair. "Miss Thompson," he said, his voice suddenly warm and eager. "What a surprise! How can I assist you today?" Miss Thompson glanced around the room, her sharp eyes taking in everything. They landed on me, and she must have noticed the frustration on my face because she walked straight over. "Is everything all right here?" she asked, her tone gentle but firm. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "I've been waiting for 2 hours to resolve an issue with my account," I said, my voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside me. "But I haven't been helped yet." Thompson's eyes narrowed as she turned to the manager. "Is this true?" The manager stammered, his face turning red. I was just about to help her," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. Miss Thompson didn't look convinced. She turned back to me, her expression softening. "I'm so sorry for the delay," she said sincerely. "Let's get this sorted out right away." She personally escorted me to a private office and stayed with me as we resolved the issue. Her kindness was a stark contrast to the treatment I had received earlier. She listened patiently as I explained the problem, and within minutes, the missing deposit was located and credited to my account. As we finished, she handed me her card. "If you ever experience anything like this again, please call me directly," she said. I thanked her, feeling a mix of relief and gratitude. As I left the bank, I couldn't help but glance back at the manager. He was standing awkwardly by his desk, avoiding eye contact with everyone. That day taught me something important. No matter how someone tries to make you feel small, your worth is not determined by their actions. And sometimes, justice comes in the form of a kind stranger who refuses to let unfairness go unnoticed. I walked out of the bank with my head held high, knowing I had stood up for myself and that someone had stood with me. The sun felt warmer on my face as I stepped outside, and for the first time that day, I felt a sense of peace. The world isn't always fair. But moments like these remind me that there are still good people out there, people who will fight for what's right. And that's something worth holding on to. Hey everyone, if this story moved you, if it made you think, or if it reminded you why we need to keep having these conversations, please take a moment to like this video. It really helps spread awareness. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Have you ever witnessed or experienced something like this? Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're here to share real, powerful stories that need to be heard. Lastly, share this with your friends and family. The more people who see this, the more we can bring awareness and change. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Let's keep pushing forward, together.